I watched you for a while stand in this hole and you weren't catching any fish. And I came over and was like, all right, so here's what you got to try to do. And I took my rod and I kind of flipped it in there. And lo and behold, yeah, I hooked a fish and caught a fish. And I'm pretty sure like that experience maybe was like, fuck me, like I'm never nymphing again. Like, screw that guy.
This was at a time in your life, though. You were not probably watching me for a long period of time. You used to come up and just steal people's holes, hop right in. Let me show you how to do it. So your long time was probably watching me for like 5 minutes before you.
Could be. It could be. I'm a different person now than I used to be when I was
You've
hardcore.
grown.
Welcome to Guys Fishing Weekly. We don't just fish, we hook.
Hey, what are you doing,
How are you?
brother?
Not a man. Just another great week. Getting back in town after seeing you last weekend.
Yes, indeed. That was a great day. God, we had a good one. I was just going through my footage of catching fish and goofing off, and yeah, it was that was certainly a great day. We got a goodie.
Yeah, we did. I unfortunately didn't have very much footage to look through because I forgot how to use the camera.
Oops.
It's been a while. So I was pushing the power button instead of the record button and didn't catch much.
Do you know who you remind me of right now?
I don't no, don't do it.
Me.
Okay.
You thought it was a day? No, me.
I did.
I
did.
Yeah, dude. No, the technology issues have been. I get it. I get it, dude. I'm actually getting a little better. And may have figured out an angle that I like better than being on top of my head. So it came out pretty decent.
I like the head recording. I like the just having it up there, but the chest, I always feel like your hands are in the way.
Right. Yeah, having it, because I use that clip, and so I have it kind of up higher than the chest pack has it.
Yeah.
So you can still see my hand. I got to work it like a few things, but I think it would be better. So I don't know. You'll look at the footage. You'll see. We'll see how it came out.
I'll critique
the head thing for me just gets so heavy, after when you're on the river for so long. But
yeah.
I think that's probably the best video footage is from the head. So anyway, it was a beautiful day though. God, for March, early March, it was season 50,
and
60.
With snow 36 hours or less before.
Yeah.
To be able to get out there.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
It was really nice. So, and we got some fish to the net, and that was great. That was good. The winter fishing gods finally let me in after getting
skunked no more.
Yeah, after getting worked the last couple of times out. That was good. So that was fun. Now I'm on a little pause from any kind of fishing because it's dumping snow here.
That's what I hear.
Yeah. But the good news is, I got the day off from work, snow day, big day today, so that's huge.
Nice.
But yeah, it's snowing like a banshee out there now. So
one less day that you have until retirement there.
That's right. Here's the funny thing: if somehow we get tomorrow off too, I don't know, because it's supposed to snow all night tonight too. And then next week spring break, longer spring break, dude. 2 last days, I gotta work.
They should just cancel it. Courtesy cancel.
Right. I know. That's what I was texting with another buddy of mine. He was just like, if they make you go back to school tomorrow, that's just stupid. I know. Half the kids probably won't show up even if we do go back.
Thinking back to when I was a wee lad, snow days were the best. But I can only imagine that they're just as awesome as an adult.
Oh, it's funny. The kids will ask me, like, Mr. Unger, do you want a snow day tomorrow? I'm like, yeah. Like, what do you think? I want to be here? No. It's just hilarious. They think that like our work is everything. And, like, you know what I mean? Like, heck no, I want a day off too. It's great. They're just like, yeah. They get so excited when you do that. It's so funny.
Same team. You guys are on the same team for once.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
It's like when you get on the kids team in dodgeball and PE. The kids are like, "Yeah, we got the teacher. We're gonna win."
That's right. That's right. For sure. So good.
Glad we found a little time to chat today on your little snow day. Didn't get bunkered down.
No. Lost power for a little bit this morning, but we're back up and running. Yeah, dude, we were without power for like 3 hours. Yeah, so, but it's all good.
That happened earlier this year here when we had really big cold spell. And we had no power for like 8 hours. Oh. And it was a little bit freaky because it was so cold. It was like negative degrees outside. I actually went and bought a generator at Home Depot just in case I needed to keep some sort of heating element on. But it ended up getting turned back on. So
nice. Yeah, no, it's just that big, heavy, fat, wet snow. Yeah. Classic spring storm. So it's all good now.
It's all good now. You're back,
up and running. Yeah.
All right,
so do a little something different, yeah?
A little something different. We're doing the readings. They might do some more of that later, but wanted to mix it up a little bit. We each brought a few different topics to the table to chat about. Neither of us know what the other brought. We just can see the little list. So we're going to do a little topics off the other person's list and see where they take us.
Sweet. Let's do it.
All right. So I'm going to pick off your list first. I'm going to go with Journey. What's that about?
All right. My plate. Yeah. So I put the Journey, whatever on there. Earlier this week, I heard something. I follow a lot of on Instagram and all that kind of stuff. I follow a lot of thought leaders. And something came across that I thought was really pretty cool it resonated with me a lot because of where I am getting to retirement, right? Quit my 25-year teaching career and in, that label of being a teacher, right? That's not going to be any longer. And so this idea of next phase of your journey, next phase of your life, that's kind of where I'm at. And this thing came across that, because with that kind of change comes a lot of I worry, you think about insurance and my clearly my check's going to be less. And so my income is a little bit, I still got to work, but what am I going to do? So there's a zillion things to kind of worry about as far as your future goes. And so this thing came across and this guy talked about 3 things to be happy. He talked in terms of happiness. And one of the first thing he says was not regretting your past, not spending time regretting, I should have done this, I could have done this, I should have made better choices, financial investments, whatever. Because of that wasted energy and time, right? The past is over, it's done. Learn from your past so you don't make the same mistakes, but don't regret it. Don't spend any time or energy regretting your past. And so that was real, that was kind of cool. And then he said the second thing is not to worry about the future. And this was the one that really hit home. He said psychologists have figured out that 85% of what you worry about never comes to fruition, never plays a role, never happens. And that was huge because I've spent a lot of time worrying, as a dad and parent. I'm making this decision, to quit my regular job in teaching and blah, 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 whatever. I have kids. I got, kids go to college, blah, blah, blah. So there's that idea that, worry plays a big role. And 85% of what we worry about doesn't come into play, doesn't worry. So wasting that energy and that time of, worry. Why? What's the point? Don't do it. Don't waste it because time's precious, right? And then the third thing he talked about was stop looking for happiness in other people. And he said, happiness is 100% an inside job. And I thought that sentence in and of itself was incredibly powerful. And I just love the way he phrases that. Like, it's here where happiness, you figure it out. Nobody else is going to bring you happiness, make you happy, all that kind of things. And we tend to look around us and try to find that, oh, so-and-so, if only I did this, I'd be happy. If only I did this, I'd be happy. But it all comes from here. And so that helped me a lot with, I'm making change in my life and, retiring from this profession because I'm not happy with it anymore. So I'm doing something about that to be more happy. And I think that I've got to stay there and not regret what I've done in the past, not worry about what I'm doing in the future, but keep it right here and do those things to make myself happy. And that just was really where I am. And it was really cool. It was an awesome thing for me to come across right now where I am.
That's awesome.
So that was that was my journey piece, because that's kind of like where I am in my journey, I guess.
Yeah. Journey, you disguised it well. I don't think you said journey once. So I had no idea what you're going to talk about. But that's awesome. I mean, as you know, and I don't know if I've expressly said this on this podcast, but I also took the leap of quitting my job about 8 months ago. And it is a journey. It's a journey that you don't necessarily expect to be a journey. It's kind of like, heck yeah, I did it. I retired or whatever, but there's a lot that does come with that. And a lot of it is spent in the looking backwards, looking forwards. Did I do what should I have done more? Should I have stuck with it longer? There's definitely a lot of that. And I agree. I mean, the future is, you worry a lot more than what actually happens. There are many other things which we get into of things that I've experienced that are different than I ever would have expected. And I'm probably actually going to write kind of a follow-up piece to my piece that I'm a quitter, but just kind of giving an update as to what I went through, because I do think it is something that's not talked about nearly enough. And then the happiness part, I mean, 100% on the inside. I think I've heard a quote, and I could try and find it, but it's just basically, happiness is all based on your expectations. And if you put some sort of expectation of, when I quit my job, I'm going to be happy, or when I win $1 million in the lottery, I'm going to be happy, or when I catch the huge fish on the boat, I'm going to be happy. And
I would be happy with that.
But those things are fleeting in a way. And if you're always waiting and that something is going to make you happy, or you won't be happy until X, Y, and Z happens, I do think that it's hard to actually get there. And you just have to be cognizant of, like, what are your expectations of happiness? What are your expectations in life? Because it is an inside job. Nothing else is going to do it for you.
Yeah. And, my cousin's one of my biggest, he's my biggest mentor, and he retired several years ago. And so, and we've talked about that. Your and his guidance through this process has been helpful in terms of things to think about, to prep yourself. Because I know you've kind of gone through a few things that you didn't expect, like, to go through emotionally, and in that headspace is an important one to keep, at the forefront of your thinking. And so that's kind of been helpful, having you guys go through it first, because I get the benefits of that, right?
Right.
But that's cool. And so that's been helpful. I'm reading some stuff about it and trying to stay, here in the now, in the present. And, at the end of my school year with the kids, the same thing, trying to be in the now, in the present, not get wrapped in, all of the other crap of my job, but what brings me joy. And it's been really helpful, and made made this year really kind of a fun one that I haven't had in a long time. in teaching, with COVID and all this stuff and the aftermath of all that. It's been a while. And so I've had a lot of fun this year with my students and my colleagues at work. And, and I guess part of that is knowing I'm getting out. A lot of them I think are envious, but yeah, that's been super helpful to be able to have the guidance from people, and like you say, I don't think it's been talked about enough. The emotional stuff you go through and the feeling of, what the hell do I do now? You get stuck in ruts of that. So that's been super helpful in terms of what I want and what I can hopefully avoid emotionally those things.
Well, I'm sure we'll have plenty of time to talk about this in the future, and we'll even do an episode specifically on it.
Indeed, that might be a topic for us to discuss.
Yep.
Cool. All right, my turn.
Yeah.
Origins.
So this is the origins of recreational fishing. Something I never actually ever delved into. I don't know if you have, if you're a recreational fishing historian, but I've never.
Yeah, no, I've never thought about it that way.
Yeah, I never dove in. So I started digging around, trying to think of a fishing topic, and this one was the first thing that kind of came to the top of my mind. But do you know that fishing in general has been around, the earliest records, since 70,000 BC?
Wow.
That's pretty crazy. Not recreational fishing necessarily, but just fishing for survival.
Right.
It's a long time.
Long.
And the earliest mention of recreational fishing was basically the tenkara fishing style, which there is some anecdotal evidence of being in Japan in the 9th century BC. And then again in Claudius Aelianus's book on the nature of animals mentions fly fishing in 175 AD. So,
jeez,
not a whole lot of detail really early, but it seems to be picking up steam kind of in the in the 1200 AD. You start seeing the first fishing reel was invented in China in 1195 AD and was brought to the Western world in 1650 AD. The earliest English language work on fly fishing, which seems to be the only way people fished for a long, long time since the beginning, was fly fishing, was in 1496 by a female with the name, she was a dame, Juliana Berners. It didn't seem to really come up again until after the English Civil Wars of 1650, and the Complete Angler by Isaac Walton was first published in 1653.
Yep.
And that was
I got that on my bookshelf.
Yeah, is it good?
It's dry.
Yeah. Writing back in the day was dry.
Yeah. Oh.
Probably like right next to Jane Eyre on your shelf, right?
Yeah, I know.
So that's when you could really say recreational fishing had arrived as a true pastime. Then, so it's still all fly fishing till the mid-17th century when some bait casting reels started to come along, but they never really took hold in Europe. They only caught on in the U.S. in like the 1870s. I guess the first popular American fishing reel appeared in the U.S. around the early 1800s. A watchmaker and silversmith out of Paris, Kentucky, named George Snyder, made his own bait casting reel with parts and pieces from around his shop, and it was known as the Kentucky reel, which he did not file a patent for, and a bunch of people quickly copied it, and that was when it kind of exploded.
And then I wouldn't have guessed that.
Yeah. And then spinning reels, or egg beaters as they were called, came around in the 18th as well. So that's when you could really kind of say that spin fishing became a thing. So I thought it was kind of an interesting little history of the different timelines of fishing.
Right. Yeah, the tenkara, the fact that that's been around for so long, that's one of the trips I want to do. Get us a couple tenkara rods and go. That's all we get. That's all we get. We don't get any other kind. And we just go learn how to tenkara fish. And
that'd be sweet.
Yeah. I would never guess like bait casting reel invented in Kentucky. I would never have. Yeah, I would have figured it would have been like somewhere. I always think of like Florida.
I think it was invented prior to that, but it never really caught on in the U.S. And that was the first kind of like U.S. model that took off.
Nice.
And so the Europeans were too proper for such animalistic tactics.
Right. That's that will be one of my topics for the future. But is a funny exchange in my favorite book. So, but I'm going to save that one for another time.
That sounds good. I think it's also interesting. Fishing for a long time was considered for the peasants, for the working class. You know, it was, even when it was like a pastime, it was for the poorer populations. And now it's kind of like flipped in a way that like fishing is kind of for the elites. Kind of like vinyl records.
Right? Yeah, for sure. Yeah, from vinyl records to for CDs and then right. Yeah, now it's like again they're like coming back vinyl records. But certainly, you know, fly fishing seems to be more elitist or can be. Well, I think too with the cost of guides and going after big fish in private water and the privatization of a lot of the rivers and stuff. Yeah. It's definitely become that's definitely not for the peasants. So I think there's definitely a part of that has. You're absolutely right.
Yeah. I don't know. Just an interesting little dig into the history of fishing right there. So,
absolutely. And a goodie.
There's a ton more to it. I didn't do a great job of summarizing it, but there's crazy detail out there about some of this stuff. So
right.
It's actually crazy detail, but like very vague on when things actually happened.
Right.
So, yeah.
Huh. Interesting. Yeah, I never thought about it in that realm. Good job. Well done, Ed.
Thanks, man.
Good work, dude. Nice.
All right, let me pick off your list this time. All right, we got let's go with nymphing. Did I get the fishing one?
Yeah, so you know, one of the things that we talked about was having a fishing topic, of course. And so I chose one that I know you tend to stay away from or, you know, avoid at all costs.
Suck at.
Right? And it's funny because it reminded me of a time when you were a lot younger. It had to have been one of your first guys fishing weekend trips. I think we were on the Colorado River, and you were fishing in a hole and you had a nymph rig on because I think it was pretty high and we were fishing nymphs. It wasn't really dry fly action. And so I watched you for a while stand in this hole and you weren't catching any fish. And I came over and was like, all right, so here's what you got to try to do. And I took my rod and I kind of flipped it in there. And lo and behold, yeah, I hooked a fish and caught a fish in trying to teach you about nymphing. And I'm pretty sure like that experience maybe was like, fuck Reid, like I'll never nymphing again, like screw that guy.
This was at a time in your life though. You were not probably watching me for a long period of time. You used to come up and just steal people's holes, hop right in. Let me show you how to do it. So your long time was probably watching me for like 5 minutes before you.
Could be. It could be. I'm a different person now than I used to be when I was hardcore.
Grown. You've grown.
I have grown. But the idea of nymphing is anybody who's fly fished for any amount of time will tell you that, you know, nymphing will definitely catch you more fish. Fish feed way more below the surface of the water than they do. And so the idea of nymphing isn't half as sexy as, you know, watching a fish crush a stimmy, in the middle of summer. But there's some advantages too. One, you typically tend to catch bigger fish and you catch more fish. Those things, which is fun. It's always awesome to fish dry flies, and you can get some good fish on dry flies too. But the practice of nymphing is developing more and more and more. There's things that like Euro nymphing and using different knots that you tie so that it drifts this way instead of this way. So as a practice, it continues to grow even beyond my skills. I typically am just a 2-fly rig. You put your big attractor bead head on the top, a smaller one on the bottom, and depth is everything. Getting the right depth of it is tedious at times. You can do a lot of casting and drifting through a hole with nothing, change the weight, throw it in, nothing, change the weight again, boom, then you start hooking or getting bumped. So finding the right depth and taking the time to do that, that it takes some dedication to it.
Live by the stimmy, die by the stimmy, baby. I don't need to hear this nonsense about nymphing. I have no comments.
Oh, Eddie. So there's that idea of, I wanted to choose something that maybe would encourage you to expand your fishing skills and learn how to do it a little bit more. Just so, because like winter time is mostly all nymphing. If you get into any kind of winter fishing, certainly trout fishing in the Rocky Mountains in the wintertime, it's tiny fly. The day we had the other day was an exception. That's not a typical day because it was so beautiful. But so that was something that I thought of, that we're just in that winter spot, so that made a lot of sense for me.
For the record, I did catch all of my fish but one on my dropper.
That's right.
So I do have a little bit of skill in that arena.
Oh, absolutely. You fished the dry dropper. You fished that well, and you did the other day. You fished that awesome.
I did. I don't need to be ridiculed and drugged through the mud about my nymphing skills, okay?
No, I'm hoping you all to encourage you. I'm never jumping in your hole to take your fish again. I'll just stand and give you instruction.
I appreciate that.
Although it was pretty fun.
Oh, man.
Right on. All right. So let's see. You have something called creamy.
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 So
okay. What is that?
I don't usually talk about kitchen appliances. Kitchen appliances aren't my forte, but I recently came across one that changed my life.
Wow.
Yeah. And it is by the company Ninja that makes like blenders and stuff.
Yeah.
It's the Ninja Creamy. And you can make basically homemade ice cream, smoothie bowls, sorbets. What's awesome for me though, with training for the marathon, working out and everything, lifting weights, is you can make like a protein ice cream. And so you can basically like milk, protein powder, freeze it all day, and then creamy it up. And you get like ice cream at the end of the day every day. It's the best. It's the best kitchen appliance. I know everybody came here to listen about our kitchen appliance recommendations, but I highly recommend. I know Christmas is a long ways away, but maybe an Easter present or a Mother's Day, Father's Day present. The Ninja Creamy goes hard.
Those recommendations are good because we are right around the corner from Mother's Day and Father's Day. And who doesn't like ice cream?
Right.
No, I eat a ton of smoothie bowls. My youngest happens to have a job at a smoothie bowl place, so we get the occasional. We made these mistakes, so we got a couple freebies that they bring home. I'm like, sweet.
The Ninja Creamy is going to put them out of business. It's good. You might not need to go back.
Now, let me ask you this. Where did you discover this?
So
did it come across your feed in one of your social media things?
So Sahil Bloom is influencer newsletter writer, and he had a video talking about it. He runs marathons and also lifts with weights, and he brought it up as like his way of getting like another easy 50 grams of protein every day. And so I was like, because I feel like protein's a hard one to like just get enough every day. And I love ice cream, and I haven't been eating ice cream because it's not really that good for you. And you know, I like protein shakes. And you don't need to put a bunch of crap in the ice cream. You don't need like, a cup of sugar. You just add literally like protein powder and milk, and you can add a little other stuff to it too. It has like a mix-ins feature, so you can mix it up. Like last night, I just made like a vanilla one, and then I added a banana and peanut butter to it at the end, and it was money. I mean, it's just
really nice. Well, yeah, and I think that's good because, well, you turned me on to eating differently and paying attention to that as I was having all kinds of issues with swollen joints and aches and just those things that happen when you get old.
Yeah.
Older. I'm not old. Older. I try to remind my students of that all the time. And so, but that's been a real incredible benefit for me in terms of eating a more plant-based lifestyle, diet, whatever. Like they're calling it diet because it's not. And it gets difficult to get protein in those ways a lot of time. But eating cleaner is definitely something that's been an amazing change for me in terms of helping me deal with my age. So that's been huge. So that's cool that you found something that could help you kind of in that realm, and not put a bunch of sugar and stuff in it because
right.
That's...
Well, and I also am big on like bulk meal prep. And so you can make a bunch of, because the problem with the one downside to it is like you can't just like mix it right then and there. Everything has to be frozen solid for it to work. So like you have to make stuff. If you want something at night, you have to like make it in the morning. But if you have a bunch of them, bunch of the containers, you can like make 6 smoothie bowls, throw them all in the freezer, and then just out throughout the week you just pull one out and mix it all up. So
love that idea.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. So the Ninja Creamy, nice.
The Ninja Creamy. The Guys Fishing Weekend hot gift tip of 2024 right there.
Sweet. Right on. Hot tip gift week. Love it.
All right. All right, let's see. Your last one on the list, if I can get my window back open.
What's in my last one?
Well, it's not wanting to open. So you're going to have to just tell me.
My Tuesday tunes.
Tuesday tunes.
So one of the things we said was like something fun, something kind of, interesting, whatever. My daughter's away at college, and we got into this thing where we have always kind of shared music with each other. And so as a way to stay connected with her being away the last few years, we do a thing like every Tuesday, we share a song with each other. We text, here's what I'm listening to this week, or here's what I've been, this made me think of you. Heard this really cool new tune. And so I've created and made playlists of our Tuesday songs. The first one was like 5 hours long, so I got to cut it up into a couple different ones. But yeah, so it's just been an amazing, fun thing. Like every Tuesday, I just kind of like am in wait for the text from my daughter with whatever song she's been listening to, so that I can listen to it. I can text her mine, and like we just have this shared weekly connectivity that is. It's been amazing for me as a dad. Like when your kid leaves home, there's nothing in the world that can prepare you for that. It's like brutal. Yeah. And she left 3 years ago, but it's still is like, you miss them. And so this has been a wonderful thing for us to share and have our own connectivity to where I don't feel like I'm picking up the phone calling her all the time. I want to give her her space in her life and let her do those things and, do her thing on her own without dad always calling or mom always calling. We've been real conscious of that in order to not press our daughter with anything that we need. You know what I mean? Just give her her space. And so this has been a real fun way to do that, kind of just in this different realm of music, because music is so it can be a conduit for that kind of connection. When I hear a song that reminds me of her, I think of her or whatever. So it's really cool. And so now we have them, on playlists, and I listen to it a lot and think of her. So it's really been this kind of cool thing while she's out of, no longer in the house. So
have you found the younger generation's devil music?
For sure. We have, the two of us share, it's funny, the two of us share such an eclectic music taste. I listen to stuff that a lot of my people my age don't listen to. I'm a classic rock guy through and through, from the get-go, but this has given me an opportunity to hear other stuff. And, she shares some things with me where I'm like, yeah, that one's mid. I don't, whatever. And I'm sure I do the same thing, but it's still really cool to see the different kinds of things she's into at different places. And, and inevitably it always comes, hey, this is what I've been really into this week, or this last week I've been really into this song. And some of them are ones from my youth, and I'm like, right on. So yeah, that piece of it has been great because it does keep me listening to different kinds of music. My younger two are definitely into like the newer rap music, which I don't particularly like a ton. I like the old school rap. Give me Snoop Dogg and Dre and NWA all day long, but
your parents said the same thing about your classic rock.
I know, right? So true. Yep. That's just the way it is.
But they're making millions on that music, so
oh man,
people must like it.
My kids paid $250, $260 for Drake tickets. And then he canceled the show, so I was really happy they got their money back because I'm like, that's ridiculous. But they work, they got jobs, they earn it.
How much did you pay to go to a concert when you were a kid?
So my best friend Mike he saves tickets throughout his entire life. He's saved all his ticket stubs. He's got an incredibly thing. I'm like telling you, we used to see shows for like $8, $10, like $12. We used to see concerts. It was insane. The amount of money it costs now to go see concerts. It's crazy.
Who was like who was the big artist when you were a kid? Like that would have been like the Drake of today.
Van Halen, probably. When I was a teenager and Van Halen was making it big, they were starting to really come on strong. I saw Van Halen probably 2 or 3 times. That was like the big show for me, for sure. But we saw a lot of, Southern rock shows down. I grew up in South Florida, so there was a lot of like Molly Hatchet shows and Leonard Skinner, so we saw some pretty cool bands back in the day. But certainly VH was,
how much would a Van Halen ticket have cost back in 1942 when you were a kid?
Okay, you sound like my student. Yeah. You're like 80? Like, shut up. No. Yeah, so seriously, probably like $12, $15 tops.
15?
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe 16. Yeah.
Inflation hasn't done well for the music. The music business has
and that's I wonder
way overinflated.
Right? Like they charge so much for concerts because they don't really sell records anymore.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you don't go to a record store, everything's downloaded. So I wonder how much money. I wonder if that's affected the cost of concerts, because I look at the cost of concerts, I'm just like, geez, Pete, it's so expensive.
Probably. I'm not a concert guy, so I've never really
It's gotta be.
enjoyed it, but people love them and people pay a lot of money
we
for them.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah, we still go, but to some shows out of Red Rocks, I'll go see anything out there. It's a great place. So, all right, dude.
All right.
All right, you have something on the list that says Samsara.
Samsara.
What is Samsara?
So Samsara is a word I came across in a book I read recently. It's a Sanskrit word for wandering or running around in circles. Kind of a cycle of aimless drifting, wandering, or a mundane existence. The book I read it out of was a book called When Things Fall Apart. The description that came along with it in that book was, thinking that we can find some lasting pleasure and avoid pain is a hopeless cycle that goes round and round endlessly and causes us to suffer greatly. And my thought around this, because that's something I'm going through and something that you will potentially find when you don't have to wake up and work anymore or have a just main pursuit that you're after, that we do a lot of things now to find comfort and security, and that ultimately once you get in that comfortable, secure place, it almost becomes worse in a way. It doesn't provide the internal comfort that you would expect would come from being able to do those things. I haven't fully kind of figured out why that is, but the principle just being like, you got to do challenging things to keep maybe the inside of your brain working correctly, that you have to have a reason or something challenging for your brain just to chew on a little bit. Otherwise you do get in this kind of aimless drift, wandering around, chasing in circles to no end, really, and doesn't provide that comfort.
Cool, that's interesting. There was something you said in there that reminded me of an approach. It's like a parenting approach, I suppose. That idea of comfort and doing those things that we know kind of protect us from, or we think protect us from, going through something difficult or something hard. Karen and I have always tried to teach our kids, you need to fail. You need to know what that feels like. And, I've got a daughter who's about to graduate college and needs to be on her own and needs to pay her own rent and not have, the comfort of, okay, yeah, I'll put some money in your account. I'll help you out with whatever, you know what I mean? She needs to go and work for it and understand, like, right, your car breaks down, I'm not paying to fix it. That's on you. And I feel like that's one of the great things that I can give her, is that idea of being uncomfortable, because without that, then you don't understand what it means to work for something, or, to put in the time to get what you want in this world. And so I think that reminded me of that. And it sounds like maybe that's kind of something along the lines of that.
Yeah. I mean, I think the premise is, like, you can't just wake up and watch Netflix all day and expect to have some awesome, rewarding life. And, right. I think the quote in that book just goes down further on into, like, self-destruction and stuff like that just comes from the lack of a pursuit, or the lack of meaning. And so,
yeah, meaningful pursuit, right? Something right, that is valuable or brings value to you.
Right. And just having, making sure that you're moving with purpose and kind of striving forward on something, and not just drifting by, and a lot of it's probably in the, that staying present type of category, of, being in the moment, and, making sure that you can sense and take it all in. A lot of it, like, for me, being on the sabbatical is, you lose a little bit of, you don't have to wake up and trudge into work every day. There's not a definite, meaningful reason to go and, push really hard on something. And so you have to find the reason to get up in the morning, in a way.
Right. Yeah, my reason will be to go fish. No, I'm kidding. I'm just kidding.
But I think this can also happen not even just being in retirement, but like so many times we aimlessly fall into our professions and we go down the path of being an accountant, and we're never meant to be an accountant, but we're forced to kind of go in and do this because it was safe and secure. And 10 years down the road, you find yourself being like, what the hell am I doing here? This doesn't light me up at all. And I'm kind of stuck, whether it's stuck by the salary or stuck because of other things going on in your life, and you have to pull that off. We get in these sort of drifting states of just like, I'm going to wake up, pay the bills, go to bed type of thing. And
right. And that's the thing. It's like, I'm retiring from teaching, I'm not retiring from working or working hard. I just want to put my work now towards something that brings, like you said, that value, that's purposeful, that has something that I feel like not just for me, but for others. I've spent my life doing for others and teaching, really. I mean, I'm definitely not in it for the money. So there's that brings something to me also that I can share and help and do for other people. Only now it's something that I think is more in here for me than, what I've been doing. So that part of it's important to understand that I'm still going to have to work. I'm still going to have to do those things. So just because I'm retiring, it doesn't mean, and I think my cousin would say too, like, yeah, okay, he's not working, but he's working at other things in his life that bring him immense joy and fulfillment in ways that he never got in his job, which is really cool. And he's, been that kind of model for me. It's been awesome. So that's cool. I like that.
Samsara
is good.
All right, those are all of our topics.
There we go. A little different this week.
A little different.
I like it.
So, yeah. Maybe we'll try it again next week. We'll see. You'll have to tune in to see what we come up with next.
What we bring to the table.
Yep.
Right on.
All right, man.
All right, brother. Great talking with you.
You too. Love you, bud.
Love you too.
Talk soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
That's all for today's episode. Thanks for listening. Make sure to visit our website, guysfishingweekend.com, to check out the GFW merch, sign up for our newsletter, and learn how to get involved with the community. We appreciate you spending even a little bit of your week with us and are glad to have you along on the journey. Stay legendary and happy fishing.